I'll call this meeting to order. This is the meeting of the Rules Committee of the Representative Town Meeting. And Mr. Adaletta, under the new rules, will call off the roll. Just answer now if you're here.
Okay, Seth. I exclude you, correct, Seth?
Yep.
Okay, Patty Baumgartner,
I am here.
Lois Snyder,
Here.
Monica oh, you're guest. almost did it. Michael Wheeler,
Here.
Adele Conniff,
Present.
Jack Davis,
Present.
Frank Kemp. Frank Kemp.
Frank is here.
Okay,
Frank's here.
There they are, you're waving, okay. Joe Michelli. Mark Adaletta here. Joe Michelli.
Don't see him.
Nope. Ann Reed.
Here.
Shannon Silsby. Shannon Silsby.
She
Teresa
just
Vogt.
texted her phone died, so she's probably going to be jumping on her laptop.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
Teresa Vogt.
Here.
Thank you. All right.
And Mark, you have Michael Costello, who took Monica's place.
Yep, Michael Casello.
Mark,
Here.
I think the waiting for name is probably Shannon. She said she just dialed in.
There she is.
Is that I got you,
Oh, there
Shannon.
she is.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Shannon.
And
Oh, Joe's here also.
I got Joe.
Joe, hey, Joe.
Okay, and I don't have all the bodies on my screen, so Michael Casello.
I'm present.
Okay,
He's
thank
here.
you. 'Cause I only have 6 on my screen. Thank you. We're set, Seth.
All right, great. We have a quorum. Next item is a motion to approve the minutes of June 7. I have a motion, please.
I'll make a motion, Patty.
Second, please.
I'll second.
Okay, Ann's in there. Corrections, I have one. The meeting was on June 7th, so we have to put, instead of June 6, June 7 on the header there on the Rules Committee. Are there any others? Okay. Are there, okay, I'll call for, are there any no votes? I don't see or hear any. So the approval is with corrections is.
Don't we still need to vote for yes and abstain, just so we can
No,
record?
we do not.
If it's unanimous, we don't.
If it's unanimous, there's no reason.
But we
to
didn't
call a
ask if
roll.
it was unanimous.
If there's no no's, it by default has to
But-
be unanimous because anybody who's abstaining doesn't get counted in the vote.
I get that, but as a procedural thing, I would suggest we ask for anybody who wants to abstain, but we don't have to do
I
that.
would agree with that.
Okay.
All right, any abstainers out there? Okay, motion passes unanimously. Next item is assigning new RTM members to committees.
Before we go there, Seth,
Yes, sir.
just because Mark doesn't have everybody on the screen, we have Monica, Stacy TA, and Krista also at this meeting, Mark, if you have not seen them.
And Ralph.
Ralph is part of us. He replaced somebody. Monica.
Oh, okay, sorry.
No,
Yeah,
no,
I
he didn't. No,
I
he didn't.
replaced
Not on the
Monica.
rules committee. Replaced Monica. Right. Sorry.
Right.
Ralph's a guest.
Right. So
Oh,
we-
sorry.
we
I
have
keep
three
on thinking you replaced Monica on the committee chair. Sorry.
Okay,
Public Works.
all right.
Yep, we're set. Thank you, Jack.
Welcome.
All right, thanks, Jack. All right, so we want to start with District 5. And
Sure.
you're going to do that one?
Yep. Both Chris and Aaron Noonan are replacing people that were on Public Works, so I'm recommending that both of them get put on Public Works for the rest of this term.
Okay.
I second that.
Great. I'll do all of them at the end. 1 second here, my computer just went berserk. There, it came back. Okay, District 2,
District 2, Jacqueline Miller.
yeah,
We're gonna, we have no one on Public Works now, and so she will ask. We will be asking her to serve on Public Works for the remainder of her term.
okay. Any comments? All right, and District 6.
Mary is going to fill in on public health and safety, replacing the person that she's replacing, actually.
All right, any comment on that?
I didn't catch which committee, I'm sorry.
Public health and safety.
Who is she replacing?
Virginia,
Oh, Virginia moved, yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Who's running
Thank you.
for? Yes. Okay, can I have a motion then in favor of Chris Noonan, Public Works, Aaron Noonan, I'm sorry, Public Works, Jacqueline Miller, Public Works, Mary Nevin Gautier, Public Health and Safety. Can I have a
I'll
motion?
make a motion, Patty.
Can I have a second?
I'll
I'll
second.
second.
Are there any no votes?
There were two people speaking on that second, Seth. I didn't catch which one you were in
Oh,
with.
okay. Did I see you, Teresa?
You did, but Anne spoke up first, so you could say Anne.
Okay, all right, Ann. Good, so Ann's the second there? All right, are there any no votes? I hear none, nor see none. Any abstentions? The vote is unanimous. The next item is discuss just a possible speaker for the RTM meeting. I thought it would be great to invite David Knopf to come in and brief us on what's going on with COVID-19 and vaccines and, you know, who should get vaccinated, the whole works. So if everyone is in favor of that, I'll go ahead and extend him an invitation. I guess I'll ask for a motion in favor.
So moved.
Okay, second.
I'll second.
All right. Any no votes? I see none. Abstentions? I see none. It's unanimous.
Again, I apologize. I only have six. Who was the motion? Who was the second?
This is Michael. I moved it, Mark.
Thank you.
And I seconded it, Mark. Ann.
Gotcha, Ann. Thank you.
Great. And now, next item is a report from Lois.
Okay, just some background. I guess the state in the state legislature, as part of the implementer, passed some rules about electronic meetings for public meetings. And the net of the impact was that if you do an electronic meeting, you need to if you have a negative vote, you need to do a roll call. So that is the guidelines, and that's where we started from. The approach we used is the technology committee, consisting of Mark, Mike, and myself, went over and put together an outline of issues and ideas, suggestions, and then Seth took that and met with Krista, Kate, and Wayne to review the idea, you know, what we presented, answer some questions, and what we ended up with, the document that we edited, which is the document that was sent to everybody. But I'm going to go over it because we want to make sure everybody's on the same page and want to make sure that we didn't miss anything or anything else needs to be explained. So we will continue with virtual meetings. We will be using GoToWebinar for RTM meetings. And one of the criteria is that if anyone in the public wants to attend the meeting, they have to notify, we have to provide a publicly available device should a member request it before 24 hours before a meeting. And Kate is prepared to provide a facility in room 206 to do that. So that's the requirement. And if anybody requests it, then we will make sure that everything is in order for it to work. Okay?
And I'm going to interrupt here because I want to make sure that it's clear. The legislation specifically said that the public can comment on based upon how they would have commented in a public meeting.
Jack,
So
wait
as an
a
example, they don't get to comment at the beginning. They would only be able to comment at the end of a resolution.
Jack,
after
wait, that's
everybody
public
else.
comment. We're going to get to public comment at the end of this discussion. This is the bill that what I'm talking about right here is having a place where the public can go if they don't have electronic equipment, because they can still sign on through the electronic access. Okay?
All right, just want to make sure.
Yeah, we're going to
Okay.
get to that. Okay, it's on the list. For RTM committees, the RTM meetings will be either all electronic or all in person. That's subject to the committee chair, not hybrid. Electronic meetings need to be recorded through Zoom or GoToMeeting because we can use either one technology. In-person meetings will be recorded by TV 79 by videographers, and that needs to be arranged ahead of time. And that's the committee chair will coordinate that. In these meetings, if anyone votes no, as we've been doing, a roll call vote is needed. Each person should be called upon and state their vote. If no one votes no, then we want to record the unanimous votes, because unanimous counts as yes votes if yes is the majority vote. Okay, is everybody comfortable with that? So that's the roll.
I just want to clarify. If in fact somebody says no, because I checked this out with Wayne also on a subsequent conversation, because I asked for the actual legislation itself as opposed to just the write-up by the public servant. If somebody says no, we only need to record the no vote, and we can assume that other people therefore have voted yes or have abstained. So we're going to do no's. If there's no votes, if there's no abstentions, then it's unanimous. If it's one or two no votes, I'm saying in a committee, then we're not going through everybody's name. It's who's voting no, we're recording that. Who's abstaining, we're recording that. And everybody else will have the opportunity, then it's yes for everything else. Period. Done. That's
Wait.
acceptable.
That seems inconsistent with what I understood from Seth. Do you have any comments on that, Seth?
No, that's the same.
So we
Same.
don't need to do a roll call then. We only need. Okay.
No,
if
record your
it's no,
no's.
you don't
What
need
you
to do a
do-
roll call. Okay.
What you do is is ask for the no votes.
Okay.
We had discussed using the polling feature in GoToMeeting to make sure we found any no votes if they were there, because with these pictures, with 100 pictures, you can miss somebody, and we have. So the idea is we would use the polling feature in GoToMeeting just to make sure there's no votes, and if there aren't any, then it's unanimous.
And in the RTM, we would still do the polling, so Kate would know if there's no votes.
That's
Then
good.
we
Right.
can ask the no votes to raise their hands and identify themselves, and then we're done.
Correct.
No, that's not what we agreed to. That's not what's written in this document. And if the document needs to be changed, that's fine. But this is what I understood. So let's go through the discussion with the document before we jump to the answers. So for the RTM meetings, they'll all be electronic until further notice. The town clerk will take attendance and record roll call votes for the meeting. We will use an alphabetical list of RTM members by last names. The town clerk will mark off on the sheet who is in attendance using information from the attendance list in the upper right corner of GoToWebinar. This list can be arranged showing the newest attendee on top, so the attendance sheet can be kept up to date. There will be an electronic record after the meeting has concluded for any necessary reviews. So in other words, we're doing it visually, but it's recorded electronically. That's attendance. For voting on resolutions, a poll will be taken on GoToWebinar. These votes are recorded electronically and available after the meeting is ended. If anyone votes no, which Kate will know, then a roll call vote will be held. The town clerk will call off each name of attendees alphabetically by RTM member last name and ask for their vote. Then they will say back their vote to confirm that it is recorded. At the end of the list, the group will be asked if anyone's name was not called or missed the vote. Kate will unmute all of the RTM members, and members will mute themselves and then unmute themselves to vote when close to their last name. After voting, each person mutes themselves again. This minimizes external sound interference. Okay, so that is what we've outlined and based on what we understood. Open to suggestions, changes, discussion. Jack, would you like to comment?
Sure. I had a conversation with Wayne, and one of the things that I mentioned is we have no votes to adjourn the meeting.
Okay, wait, I got another point.
So wait, time out.
All right.
So we would take the poll. If it's unanimous, we go forward. If there are no votes, then we ask the person who voted no, or the people that voted no, to raise their hand, have Kate identify them, ask if there's anyone who voted no that was not called upon, and then everyone else is perceived to have either abstained or voted yes. At that time, we really don't care about the abstentions because they don't care counting the total. And we move forward. So all we need to do is count our no votes, unless it falls into the practice of what we had earlier, that the vote is close enough that a roll call is necessary. That's it. We can't be sitting here calling 100 names. It's not necessary, and it still complies with the law.
That is not my understanding, Jack.
Yeah,
That's my
did-
understanding of speaking to Wayne, that we can do
excuse me.
that. Because we're going to have a record of who everybody voted within, as soon as the meeting's over, and it can be published on the website.
Jack, you and I both spoke to Wayne, and I agree that all we have to do is ask for the no votes to comply. And we identify who the no votes are. By definition, the rest of them are yes. And
Yeah.
and the abstentions don't count. And I went over that carefully with him because I said, we're going to run into situations. I told us to Wayne, I said, listen, we're going to run into situations. We got a whole pile of yes votes, and we don't want to go through 100 of them to find out, to something we know at the start. The most important thing is to identify the no votes, and that seems to be sort of where the legislation was thinking, just so, and then there is the situation where you've got one or two votes either way that can make the difference. And I think in that situation, we do have to roll call everybody to make sure that we've got the vote right.
That's
So
correct.
that's a little different, Lois, but I did check that out with Wayne. I went over it with him carefully.
So we don't need roll call, but this is.
We do need a roll call to determine the no votes. So we're going to,
We're doing a poll. The poll will show if there are some no votes, okay?
correct.
Once we know there are no votes, okay? Do
Yes.
we need to do a roll call, or do we just
No,
need?
they self-identify.
We
They need to identify
do
that they voted no.
Wait, Can we-
Excuse me, folks, excuse me, I have the floor, excuse me.
Sure, Seth.
I have to, because Lois and I have been sleeping with this thing for several weeks to try and get it, and it's still, you can tell, there's a lot of nuance to it. But what we have to do with a roll call is identify who the no votes are, and then go from there. Then the yes votes are, by default, yes votes, and if there's only a few no votes, it's unanimous. with 100 people in the room or 90, whatever, it's pretty easy to figure out where the vote was. And if it's close, which we've already defined what close is, then yeah, you got to roll call everybody to be sure you got it right.
So we
Right.
don't need to roll
Does that
call.
make sense, everybody?
If there's anybody, if somebody votes no, or at least one no, I mean, that will know what percentage of no's. But if somebody votes no, then we just need the no's to identify themselves and assume that everyone else is yes or abstention as recorded. And therefore, we don't need to do roll calls.
We need to
Right.
do a roll call to change semantics on what you're saying. We will be complying with the roll call by identifying on roll call only those who have voted no when they raise their hand and are recognized. That constitutes our quote unquote roll call. Once we have that, since we know that the item has passed by a significant amount, we don't have to call all the yeses.
Okay, so we
Like a
don't need
full
to do a
big
roll
yes.
call. We just need people who say no to raise their hands after the electronic polling.
We're going to do
That's
a
correct.
roll call on the no votes.
How can you
Yes,
do a roll call? You don't know who the no's, so they have
we
to
ask
say.
them to identify themselves.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, then I need to edit what we've written. I would ask you to just make sure that it's in agreement, because that doesn't sound like a roll call to me. So, but whatever you.
It's a semantics.
Oh, I
Yeah,
totally get semantics.
Ms. Snyder, what we are defining a fine point, please. And I think we can accomplish what the legislature had in mind legally without going through, let's say, 8 or 9 items and roll calling 100 people. It's just,
That's great. Would have been helpful to know this the other day when we were drafting this, but I'll go with it tonight because I like the answer. It's going to save us a lot of time. So we'll just have to make sure that Kate can identify all the no votes because we don't know the quantity. So we're going to have to be really careful on the having people raise their hand.
well, the polling, to me, when we use that electronic polling, that's going to smoke out all the no's.
But we don't know the quantity. We just know the percent.
Right, but if we know that, let's say, 10% has voted no, and we have 90 at the meeting, then it can't be more than 9 votes.
That's true. Okay.
And those people are going to have to self-identify, so hopefully all those people will know how to self-identify.
Well, yes,
We'll
and
know,
if-
we'll know after the meeting. We'll have an electronic record after the meeting of who the person was who voted no, who may not have identified themselves at the meeting itself.
that's correct. So at least at the end of the meeting, we do have the electronic record, which is, if nothing else, a roll call poll, no different than what the legislature is doing.
Yeah, I know. I agree because that was the first approach was, how do we define roll call and how simple can we make it? And all the answers back in the early discussion on this was that it had to be a real verbal oral roll call. So I will
And
revise.
I personally think that on 1 or 2, those who vote against anything on the school, after the first one, they might stop on the other ones and we'll get unanimous votes and we can move forward.
I hope so.
Yeah, it's not like when you stand up in a live meeting and somebody might not see you, Yep. In this one, you gotta, yeah, that's the way I'm voting. I'm voting no, and it's Joe Jones, it's very
Yeah.
specific.
Can
Okay.
we vote
so
on
does-
this to move forward?
Okay,
Wait, one second. We have one more piece to add, and that was the stuff we were talking about earlier, and that's public comment. The way we've talked about public comment is that, well, first of all, that we're going to still ask people to put their district number before when they're registering for the meeting, so it'll help us in identifying RTM members. Then for public comment, Seth, the moderator is going to ask, as he goes through the normal discussion on any issue, is there any public comment? The public will be, if they would like to speak, Kate's going to unmute them, and then they will have 2 minutes time limit for speaking, and that will be monitored by the moderator.
Perfect.
Okay. So I'm going to revise some of those sections about the roll call that we will do a roll call. We will ask for people that voted no, and then assume that other people vote electronically as yes, and abstentions will be recorded that way. Okay, that's where we are. Seth, do you want to?
Great, nice job.
Do we need to vote on this, or what do you want to do?
Say again?
Do we need to vote on this, or we just going to use?
Yeah, I need a motion in favor.
Patty
I
will make a
move-
motion.
Okay, Patty moved, Jack Davis seconds.
There we go. All right. Are there any no votes? You're scratching your head, Frank. Please don't do that. Okay, I see no votes. It's unanimous.
Hey, Jack, I might need some help on the wording of that motion we just approved.
Okay, I'll send something to you after the meeting if that's okay.
Yeah.
And I'll send it to you also, Lois, so that you guys can approve it.
Mark, for the minutes, you can say we approve the revised version of the procedures for the thing, and then we'll apply that as an attachment.
Right.
Yep, that's what I had. Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
And Jack, I'll work with you on making sure that we're both on the same page with the wording,
I think we are.
unless someone else wants to join in.
That's like joining the
Let me
technology.
give you all a caution on that.
Backwards.
Easy, Jack.
Alrighty. All right, that's great. Now I have two items that I have to add to our agenda here for discussion. One is a administrative thing. We have to approve the formation of this building committee as well as the charges to each one of the buildings. So we have to have one more item there. We'll take it before charge to the building committee of each school and just call it approval of the formation of the school building committee. So
If I might add, that's exactly what the Board of Selectmen did.
Yes.
The state needs each individual elementary school building committee approved separately. But then the state also agreed, based upon my conversation with Duke, the combination of all. And since we have to also approve the full building committee that's actually operating, we need to approve all four as well. Exactly what the Board of Selectmen did. I might also suggest.
I have to add that one. And we have something which came up today, a loss of $65,000 in vehicles that belong to the Board of Education. It's not clear yet how that'll be financed, but if we put it on the RTM agenda, we're giving, and Jack can explain a little bit more on this, but we give the Board of Finance flexibility in how exactly they fund the $65,000. In one instance, they would need our approval, and when they don't, so we'll put it on the agenda and then let the Board of Finance figure out what they're going to do with it.
So do you want a motion to move to add those to the agenda?
Please, could I have that?
All right, I'll move it, Mark.
I'll second
And
it. It's
wave your hand
Teresa.
is seconding.
All right. So that's, are there any no votes on this? I hear none and see none. It's unanimous. So first item to discuss and assign committees is the acquisition of Crimmins Road. Possibilities are F&B, PZ&H, maybe Health and Social Services. Are there thoughts?
Definitely
I
public health
think,
and
Lois,
safety.
you also spoke to Mac earlier. I spoke to him after you. And Mac doesn't believe public health and safety needs to report on this. I've been involved with this early on. Jamie was kind enough to call. The other committee to be added is P and Z, because there's the P and Z Commission issued a mandatory report.
Yeah.
Steve Albini confirmed that, and Amy was copied on that email. So those would be the two committees. In this particular case, F&B can lead because we've been involved with it from the onset.
Okay, anybody have any comments on that?
I would just ask why Matt did not feel that public health and safety should be part of that. That seems like a,
Because this is
Important.
not a health and safety issue, it is a financial issue on whether the town is funding and supporting the application.
I think it's both, but that's just my opinion.
This seems like a public works issue too, so
Public Works has nothing on this,
nothing? Okay.
other than hiring the people to demolish the buildings.
So you think F&B should be the lead and who should be second?
Um,
Planning and
Planning and
zoning.
zoning.
P and Z.
EZ and H?
Yeah,
All right, can we move that motion?
yeah. Can I have a motion?
I'll motion. Patty Baumgartner.
A second, please?
Second, Lois.
All right. Noes? I see none.
You asked for abstentions?
Abstentions? Don't see any of those either. Okay, motion passes unanimously. Next one is, we could, well, I think this may all be the same, but we can do the approvals of the formation. Well, we better do them separately. Approval of the formation of the school building committee. That's probably the Board of Ed. There's no money here. The education committee, I don't see anybody else. Anybody, what do you think?
I agree. I think that I do believe we can do one report on explaining the circumstances. Education can do one single report explaining the need for the state grant for 3 separates, and then since the charter requires us to comply and approve the actual building committee, why we're doing the last one, which is the combination. And I see it to be nothing more than the education committee.
I would say, with your approval, I'd do the same for each one of the succeeding 3. They're all Board of Ed, Education Committee. I don't, anybody else. So I would accept the motion for all 4 to assign the Education Committee and to put it, do I have a motion for that? Is that acceptable? Okay. I got Mark and Ann a second. Great. Are there any no votes? I see none. Okay, any abstentions? Thank you, Lois. I see none. It's unanimous. Okay, next item would be committees for the 65,000 in losses on the vehicle replacement. Probably Board Education and F&B.
Yep. Can I give a little background on this and why we're doing it this way?
Yeah, sure.
Because what's happened here is that I got a call on Friday from Duke to discuss the process. They need to get an order in as quickly as possible because the earliest delivery date is January. If we put it off to October meeting, we may not even get the stuff until April. This is the net of the insurance from the July flood, the insurance reimbursement. The timetable is we assign it to get it on our committee, assign committees. We Education meets tomorrow. F&B meets on Thursday. Board of Ed meets tomorrow where they will approve it. Then I've requested for Kate to add it to the Board of Selectmen agenda on the 20th. Board of Finance meets on the 21st. The approval by Education will be contingent upon the Board of Ed, Board of Selectmen, and Board of Finance approvals. They will approve for the appropriation to be paid for either by the general fund funds or by the Board of Finance reserve fund for capital non-recurring expenditures contingency account. When F&B meets on Thursday, the Board of Ed will have already approved it. So we're going to do it a contingent upon the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen. I've already spoken over the weekend with Jay-Z and Jim Palin. This is consistent with their approach from their board. If they choose to use the contingency funds, then it doesn't have to go to any other board, but at least they'll have the support from F&B and Education. If they choose to use the general funds, then it goes on to our agenda, and there's 2 committee reports to expedite this down the line. I would suspect that in the future, there is additional equipment that will be coming our way because they lost equipment in the second flood, and the town is compiling their list of trucks and equipment that they may now need to have, but they won't have it until they are done with getting what the insurance reimbursement is going to be. That's
The
it.
last number I saw was 35,000 and they were just starting.
Yeah. But we don't have that. I'm just making everybody aware that we may be seeing more of this.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, we got a memo on this this morning at 11 a.m.
Yes.
And
just-
I did send a note back to the chairman of the Board of Education saying that if they wanted to send us a memo like a week or so in advance, that would be real helpful. Since we'd already met as a rules committee, set the agenda. So the agenda for the rules committee had already been mailed out. So hopefully they'll listen.
This was, Seth, I'm the one who requested that he send the memo, knowing that the timing was essential. And sometimes the
we had to
timing,
do it, but he knew about this a week ago, at least. You know, that's
I don't know that they had the final numbers. So a week ago. So all I'm saying is that at least we got a call on Friday.
I like it, Jack. All right. Okay. All right. Good. So let's vote on the 65,000 assigning education and F&B.
Yep, education's primary.
Okay. Mark, did we get a vote on that?
Nope.
No.
No. Okay, fine. So I have a motion.
So moved.
Okay, and a second.
I'll second.
Okay, I got Frank and Jack. Okay, fine. Did you get those, Mark?
I got Davis on the second and
Adele.
Dell on the motion. I got it.
All right. Any no votes? I see none. No abstentions? I see none. It's unanimous. All right, setting the agenda for September 27 for the RTM. I would lead with David Knopf, then acquisition of Crimmins Road, approve the establishment of the Holmes Royal School Building Committee, Hindley Holmes Royal School Building Committee, approve the charge to Hindley, approve the charge to Holmes, approve the charge to Royal, and then, if required, the 65,000 for the vehicle replacement.
I I have one other addition, Seth, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
I would appreciate, and I'm sure that you had this thought, but if you don't mind, I'd like to start the meeting with a moment of silence for Mike Height, who we
oh,
lost.
I didn't
Great
tell
idea.
about the, okay. I agree.
Great idea, Jack.
Yep. I was gonna do that under announcements.
That's fine. I thought you were. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Okay. Any other thoughts? All right, can I have a motion? A motion in favor then?
So
I'll make-
moved.
Mark, I got. Second,
Joe,
Teresa.
I got Joe. Joe's been raising his hand. I'll get Joe in there.
Got you, Joe.
Are there any no votes? I see none. Are there any abstentions? Nope. It's unanimous. Great. Any other business?
Yeah, could I bring up one thing?
Yes,
As
Mike.
we schedule the meetings going ahead for the RTM committees, we have one license from GoToMeeting that we have to share among the committees. F&B has their own through Stacy, and housing has its own through mine through Zoom. Cecil is still, although not a Darien resident, he's still a videographer for TV 79, and he does have a license that can do duplicate meetings if his schedule's available, but that doesn't always happen. We were able to work out everything for this month, but in general, we're going to have, unless it's public zoning and housing and F&B, each committee is going to have to meet on a different night to make sure that there's a license available, or they need to find someone on their committee that has a Zoom license that goes beyond 40 minutes.
Mike, public health and
Right.
safety, I have
Yeah,
a Zoom
Lois.
license. So,
I mean, you know, public health and safety, yeah, and I have public housing.
It's Adele, Mike. I'm glad to hear you bring that up because, you know, he and I have been talking this week because we have conflict on Monday with education. So it is a problem. I just want to know, you know, you don't want a competition to see who gets in there first. A different day for meetings would be useful. Would be helpful.
Okay, and then who do they contact?
I look at the schedule, but me, and I copy I make up the meeting and send it to the chair and copy to Krista.
Oh, great. Okay. Sounds organized. Great. Any other?
and Mike, down the road, I'm going to need to speak to you because unfortunately, the F&B wizard of meetings is leaving the RTM, Stacy. So we need to figure out how to replace her.
Yep. The best choice is to find somebody in your committee who has a license. Second choice is we can work it out through either a TV 79 videographer or you know, or sharing the dates on the licenses.
Okay.
All right. Other
This week,
business?
Cecil was very helpful this time picking up we had two conflicts over the next 2 weeks, but Cecil was able to pick up both of them.
A question for Mike and Seth. Is there a requirement that we use GoToMeeting in a case of a problem that may come up? Can we use Zoom? Does Zoom have a
Yes.
recording feature that?
Yes, it does.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah.
And you
Zoom's
can
fine to
use it.
use,
Yeah.
and it's got the same recording function.
Great. Okay.
But it's just make sure that first somebody has to have a paid subscription and not think that they get it free because it cuts off at 40 minutes.
Great. Okay. I'll take a motion. Oops, wait a minute. I see Monica McNally raising a finger. I'm not sure if that's a hand. Oh, it's two hands. if you turn on your mic, Mrs. McNally, that will help a lot. Your mic's not on.
There you go. There you go, Monica.
All right, thanks. Thanks, you guys. Just wanted to say on Crimmins that Mark McEwen knows a lot about this subject, and he is first of all doing a PowerPoint presentation, which is almost finished. Hopefully it will be soon. He's going on vacation the 16th. So if you have any questions before the RTM meeting, it doesn't give you much time, but I'm sure he will be happy to take them. He'll be back the 27th. So if you have questions after he leaves for vacation on the 16th, go ahead and run them by Kate. Okay?
Thanks, yeah.
That's it.
Anything else?
Nice seeing everyone.
Good to see you too.
Always, we love to have our alumna. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Teresa, and it looks very excited about that prospect. Got a second from Frank. Are there any no votes? This is a test.
Can I vote no just for the fun of it?
No.
No.
I get the feeling somebody, but no, I didn't hear that. I didn't see it.
I vote yes. Adjourn.
We have no votes. It's unanimous. Any abstentions? See me after the meeting.
Seth, who was second on that? I'm sorry, just to get it right.
The meeting is adjourned.
Mark needs to.
Who was the second?
Everyone.
Frank, it was Frank.
Frank got it. Thank you. Bye, all.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Everybody.